Yes, another little shit video. I did a video a couple of weeks ago, about Dillian White against Francis Ngannou. But I fucking dropped my laptop, and it fucked up the video. So, who do you think would win that fight? This Eddie Hearn's been talking on it, about putting that fight on in boxing and the UFC. So, who do you think wins that? It's quite interesting, isn't it? That Francis Ngannou, people are getting all excited about him, because he's knocking people out. That's quite entertaining, isn't it? That knockout, that was quite a good punch, wasn't it? A nice fancy uppercut. So people are getting really excited about him, because he's got that knockout power. But, anyone who's 18 stone who wears 4-ounce gloves, they're gonna knock people out, aren't they? Anyone who's 18 stone wearing 4-ounce gloves are gonna knock people out. But I don't think that means he'll beat Dillian White, does it? When Dillian White knocked out Derek Chisora, he had 8-ounce gloves on, didn't he? So, if he had 4-ounce gloves on, he probably would have killed Chisora, wouldn't he? Yeah, he probably would have killed him. So I think this Francis Ngannou, he's getting a lot of hype in it, because he's like a big fucking 18 stone fighter, knocking people out wearing 4-ounce gloves. So people are getting really excited, aren't they? Like they were about Mike Tyson's potential return. Mike Tyson's not going to do anything, man. He's not going to come back and do well, is he? That's just a little clip on the pads, 30 seconds. I could look brilliant on the pads. He's not going to do it, man. He's not going to do it. People are just getting excited, which you can understand, can't you? Mike Tyson's a legend, knocking people out. So people are getting really excited about this Francis Ngannou. But, Dillian White, he'd fuck him up, Dillian would fuck him up, like how he fucked up Chisora and Lucas Brown. In the UFC, I don't know, Dillian, he's had some kickboxing fights on here, we've seen him throwing some fancy kicks. So he's quite a good kicker in it, Dillian. He's a good puncher, knocking out Chisora. So he can punch and he can kick, but we haven't really seen him, on the ground. So we don't really know what his ground game's like, do we? But that Francis Ngannou, I've watched a load of his fights and he's not really good on the ground. He's not good at all on the ground. You don't really know what to do, from that position. He doesn't know how to fight on the ground. It's all about the ground, isn't it? Khabib. He's fucking good, innit? Khabib, on the ground. Actually, Khabib, he might be as good on the ground as Mayweather is at boxing. You might think, oh, that's ridiculous, that's fucking nonsense. It's not, man, it's not. He's got skill on the ground, that ground game, it doesn't look really attractive, does it? It looks like it's just mauling and just fucking nothing, but there's skill involved. You see Khabib like tying his legs up, and like trapping McGregor's legs, so he can't get up. That's a skill, innit? That's a tactic. He's tying up McGregor's legs, so he can't get up. That's a skill, that's a tactic. Mayweather's little fancy shoulder blocks and counters. That's a good skill as well, but that's a good skill also. So I think Khabib is as good at grappling as Mayweather is at boxing. But Mayweather gets a lot more credit, because he's a lot more flashy, with the women and the fucking cars and all that and the money. So he gets a lot more attention and hype, because he's more flashy than Khabib. Khabib's just a little Muslim, innit? Humble and all that. So we don't really get the credit that Mayweather gets. He's not as flashy, is he? Khabib's a little quiet Muslim. But yeah, I like the thought of like little crossover fights, you know, boxing and the UFC. You know, Eddie Hearn is little fake mates with Dana White in it, so there might be a lot more crossover fights, which I'd like to see, to be honest with you. It's quite interesting, isn't it? You know what I like about this whole lockdown period? You know, this whole virus period? You know, Eddie Hearn is talking about putting boxing shows on, you know, in his big back garden, you know, at the Matchroom headquarters. And he's saying that there's only a few fights that can take place, you know, because it's limited, you know, he can't afford to just pay loads of fighters to fight. Well, he can afford it, but he doesn't want to chuck money on it, does he? Because he's not going to get people paying and buying tickets to watch it. So the funds are probably a bit limited, aren't they? So he's saying to fighters, you can only fight on this show in my back garden if you're willing to take a 50-50 fight, which is quite good, isn't it? That's quite good, 50-50 fights, but that's what Eddie Hearn should be saying all year round to his fighters. He should be saying it all year round. You're only fighting and getting paid if you're willing to fight in a 50-50 fight. You're not having a fucking tick-over fight or a little warm-up fight. You either get in there with someone who's got a 50-50 chance of winning, or you're not fighting at all. Eddie Hearn shouldn't be rewarding his little fighters to take tick-over fights and warm-up fights. Do you know what I mean? He shouldn't be paying them and like rewarding them, you know, to fight a little journeyman who's just standing there like that, you know, tucking up, not even trying to win. Eddie Hearn shouldn't be paying his fighters to fight those kind of fuckers, because they're not trying to win, are they? They've had 200 losses, these journeymen. You know, they're not even trying to win, are they? They're just trying to survive and get through to the final bell, you know, by tucking up like that. So these fucking guys who are asking for warm-up fights and tick-over fights, Eddie Hearn should just fuck them off and say, just fuck off, man. If you're not willing to take a fight with someone who's good, who's got an equal chance of winning, you're not fucking getting paid. You're not fucking getting paid. You're not getting rewarded for fighting someone who's not even trying to win. You're not having a fucking tick-over fight. Now fuck off. That's what Eddie Hearn should say to all his fighters all year round. Fight someone good, or you're not fighting at all. You're not getting paid to fight a little journeyman who's had 2 wins and 200 losses. You're not having a tick-over fight. You know, Johnny Nelson, he lost his first 3 fights, you know, because he just got in there with anybody. He lost his first 3 fights and he lost 12 fights in total. But then he went on to win a British title, a European title, and a world title. You know, because he just got in there with anybody from the start. And that's how you learn. You don't fucking learn by fighting guys who just stand there like that, who aren't even trying to win. So, you know, because Johnny Nelson got in there with anybody, and he lost his first 3 fights and 12 fights in total, you know, he stuck with it, didn't he? And he won a British title, a European title, and a fucking world title. You know, by just getting in there with anybody and learning how to really fight. But you know, these little faggots like Marcus Morrison, who I beat in my last fight, he's one of these kind of faggots who beg Eddie Hearn for a tick-over fight and a warm-up fight. You know, people like him. He's not going to win a world title like Johnny Nelson. He's not even going to win a British title. Antony fucking Fowler, he's another little faggot who begs Eddie Hearn for warm-up fights and tick-over fights. He's not going to win a world title. He's in his 30s now. You know, and he's fighting all these nobodies. You know, when he fought that black guy on ice skates in his last fight. Let me see what that guy's record was. Hold on a minute. Antony fucking Fowler. Box Rick. Right, let's have a look and see what that guy's record was. You know, the black guy on ice skates. He had 19 wins, 7 losses. Do you know what I mean? Fowler's like in his 30s. He won a fancy medal in the amateurs. He was being touted as being the next Carl Froch, you know, and he's fighting black guys on ice skates. You know, he's not going to do anything, is he? He's not going to win a world title like Carl Froch or Johnny Nelson. Eddie Hearn only signed him up because his uncle's Robbie Fowler. So Eddie Hearn thought that by signing him up, and his uncle being Robbie Fowler, he'd sell out the whole of Anfield. You know, because his uncle was a Liverpool football player from the past. You know, but it didn't work, did it? Robbie Fowler has never been to an Antony Fowler boxing match. You know, Robbie Fowler doesn't give a toss about him, does he? He doesn't give a toss about him. So, you know, using his uncle's name to try and sell tickets, you know, it didn't work. Even his own uncle don't turn up to his fights. And you know that woman there? He went up to her in a club and said that his uncle's Robbie Fowler. You know, why else would she get with him? He hasn't got the courage, the bravery to get in there with anybody like Johnny did. You know, and he's fighting black guys on ice skates. You know, he's begging Eddie Hearn for warm-up fights and tick-over fights. So, you know, these fucking guys here, they're not going to do anything, man. Same with Chris Eubank Jr. I fought Chris Eubank Jr. at 4 days' notice. And it was an easy fight, you know, until I ran out of steam. So he's not going to do anything either, Chris Eubank Jr. And all he has to do is train. That's all he's had to do throughout his whole career is just train and box. You know, most boxers, they go to work, don't they? They have to go to work, you know, so they can't really train properly and recover. Because like a big part of training, boxing, is recovery. You know, you train in the morning and then you recover. You go home, relax, you know, recover. Take your little fancy supplements, you know, your post-workout supplements and recover. But most boxers whose dads aren't Chris Eubank Sr. or Nigel Benn, you know, they have to fucking go out and work, you know, after training. So they can't really give it 110% to the training. That's why it's good for boxers, you know, to sell drugs like Anthony Joshua. Because then you're your own boss, aren't you? You know, you work when you feel like it. You know, you do a few little drug runs, you know, drop off a few drugs here and there, but then you can just chill out, can't you? So, you know, selling drugs is beneficial for boxers because they don't have to go out to work. I feel ashamed losing to him, you know. You know, if I lost to like Billy Joe Saunders, you know, that's a bit different, innit? Because he's like a 2-weight world champion. You know what I mean? But fucking Eubank, you know, he's won that little daft belt, you know, that little IBO belt. That's not a real world title, is it? So for him to only have to just train and that's it. For him to only have won that little shit belt. And he's in his 30s, you know, he's not doing well at all. And it's not bitterness either, it's just a fact. You know, Liam Williams, I boxed him as well. And he's like probably the hardest guy that I boxed. Liam Williams, you know, he would beat Eubank. That fight ended, you know, in the second round after a clash of heads. It was a no contest. But I could just tell, you know, from those 2 rounds that, you know, he's better than Eubank. But I don't think Eubank would fight him, would he? Eubank Jr. is not all that. You know, he's in his 30s, he's won a little shit belt. A little IBO belt. That's not a real belt, is it? It's not a real world title belt. So to say that all he's had to do is just train and then go home and relax and, you know, he's able to go to Florida, you know, and train with Roy Jones Jr. You know, most boxers can't get the time off work to go and ponce around in Florida with Roy Jones Jr. So Eubank's not all that. What do you think about all that? You know, Eubank Jr. pouncing around with fucking Roy Jones. Do you think Roy Jones is going to take him up to that level, you know, to beat a Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo? He's not, is he? I said it before. Just because you was a good boxer, it doesn't mean you're going to be a good trainer as well. You know, Brendan Ingle produced champions at every single level, even though he wasn't all that as a boxer. area title level, British title level, English title, Commonwealth, European, world title level. So you don't need to be a good boxer to be a good trainer. You know, Enzo Calzaghe, he didn't really do anything as a boxer, but he's produced like one of the best British boxers of all time. Joe Calzaghe, 46-0. You know, 2-weight world champion. You know, Ronnie Davis, he trained Chris Eubank Sr. You know, he's never done anything as a boxer, has he, Ronnie Davis? So you don't need to be a good boxer to be a good trainer. Dave Caldwell, he was a little shit boxer as well. But he's trained a few little champions, hasn't he? He's had a few names, but he didn't really produce him, did he? Tony Bellew was already a world champion when he got to Dave Caldwell. Derek Chisora, he trained with Caldwell for a little bit, but he was already a little, whatever he was, a European champion. You know, Dave Caldwell trained Fowler, but he's shit again. Like I've said before, he's just a fucking pound shop Carl Froch. He's not going to do anything, man. Johnny Nelson, you know, he just got in there with anyone. Anybody. That was the same path that I was on, you know when I turned pro with Brendan. I was on the same path. I just boxed anybody. You know, if you look at my record, I just got in there with anybody. I got in there with Chris Eubank Jr. at 4 days notice. I got in there with Liam Williams at 5 days notice. I boxed this guy who got fucked up by Golovkin. This guy called Proxer, who was a 3-time European champion. I boxed him at a week's notice. You know, even though he got fucked up by Golovkin, it's Golovkin, innit? You know, he was still like a 3-time European champion. So I was on the kind of path that Johnny Nelson was on. But I didn't stick to it, you know, like Johnny. You know, after a while I got into like alcohol and pussy. You know, like Coogan. I got into pussy, then I like Coogan, you know, pussy and views and all that. I started going out partying, you know, banging women and fucking, yeah, getting involved in a load of fucking sex, you know, like Coogan. So I went downhill, but you know, this is a lot easier, innit? You know, just sitting here talking a load of crap. You know, getting paid. Shout out to the people who have subscribed to my Patreon and the people who have bought merch. You know, and who have subscribed to my YouTube as well. Yeah, thanks for that. This is much easier, isn't it? You know, Coogan can get away with fucking around with loads of women. Because all he does is hold a camera. You know, and ask a load of daft questions. Yeah, that photo's a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit creepy, isn't it? You know, it reminds me of one of them men, you know, hiding bushes, wanking. You know, looking at women walking by. Yeah, it's a bit creepy, that photo, isn't it? It's definitely a creepy vibe. Posse and views. Posse and views. He loves it, don't he, Coogan? Posse and views. But he can get away with fucking loads of women, you know, because he just holds a camera. But you know, for boxers, it's a bit more different. You gotta have more discipline. You know, Kid Galahad. He'll fight on Saturday and get robbed in a world title fight against Josh Warrington. And then he'll be back in the gym on Sunday. So he's a fucking consummate professional, isn't he, Kid Galahad? Do you know what I mean? But like, I didn't really live like that. So I fucked up, didn't I? I used to love Nassim Ahmed. When I first got into boxing, I wanted to be a success like him, but it didn't really work out, did it? So I've had to make do with making little shit videos instead. You know, and selling little tacky merch. Yeah, you know these videos, yeah? You know the money that I'm making from these videos, you know, from selling tacky merch and people subscribing, you know, to my subscription page, Patreon. You know the money that I'm making from these videos. Well, you know, last week I got done for benefit fraud. You know, because I started signing on, you know, like Umar, unemployed Umar, when Coogan temporarily got rid of him. You know, for calling the Liverpool people murderers and unemployed bin dippers. So he started signing on a bit, didn't he? Umar, unemployed Umar. Well, I started signing on, you know, thinking that these videos would be cash in hand, you know, tax free. But they're not. And the fucking tax man, you know, he started poking his fucking nose in, didn't he? So he's fucking done me for benefit fraud, hasn't he? You know, because I tried to like sign on like Kel Brock while I was getting paid for Patreon and selling shit merch. I was being a bit smiley, wasn't I? Yeah, I was being a bit smiley, but it fucking backfired, didn't it? Yeah. Fucking hell. It's a bit like Anthony Joshua selling drugs, isn't it? You know, while he was getting funded by the GB squad. He was still going out selling drugs, wasn't he? So it's a bit like that, isn't it? And then he had to go and do community service. So I'll probably have to fucking go back to doing community service, you know, like I did before when I was drink driving and I had to paint a fucking wall. You know, for hours and hours I had to paint a fucking wall. You know, doing community service. So I might have to go back to doing that, you know, for fucking committing benefit fraud. Eddie Hearn was asked about, you know, the return of Mike Tyson, and Eddie Hearn was saying, I don't want to see it, man. I don't want to see a little fucking exhibition. You know, where they're just like laughing and ha 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 ha. You know, when they're in the ring fighting and they hit each other and then they apologise and all that. Eddie Hearn says he don't want to see any of that, and I don't want to see any of that either. That's no good, is it? That's some baby thing. I don't like exhibitions. You know, when boxing matches are just fucking daft. You know, where they're both pissing about. You know, where both boxers are just pissing about and just fucking around. You know, you don't want to see it, do you? You don't want to see two boxers just fucking acting all daft. You know, pissing about. Messing around. You want to see a proper fight. You want to see a knockout, don't you? You don't pay to watch people fucking pissing about and laughing and ha 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 and all that dumb shit. You don't want to see any of that. So I'm not into exhibitions either. But yeah, I'm glad Eddie Hearn has become a little fake mates, you know, with that Dana White from the UFC. I would like to see some crossover fights, you know, because I do like both sports, you know, boxing and UFC. I think UFC is quite good. It's got a bit more variety, you know, they're like elbows and stuff like that. You know, the kicks. Yeah, there's a bit more variety, I think, you know, in the UFC. Yeah, you know, the kicks and the elbows and all that stuff. Khabib, fucking John Jones is a few little superstars, you know, in UFC. So I think it's really sort of like starting to, I don't know if it's taken over boxing. It's subjective, innit? It just depends what you like. Some people don't like all that fucking jiu-jitsu shit. Yeah, they look nicer, don't they, those two women wrestlers? That's a bit more entertaining, innit? Yeah, you remember when that woman had a shit in the octagon? That's fucking horrible, innit? That is fucking horrible, man. That was some shit thing. Well, yeah, UFC's quite good, innit? You know, some people are saying that Francis Ngannou, you know, against Dillian, they're saying he'll be too big, too strong. You know, like how Carl Froch was for GGG. But I don't know about that. You know, your body, it needs a lot of oxygen, you know, to like carry those big muscles around. So it's not always an advantage, you know, having all that extra weight. You know, that dosser, Deontay Wilder, you know, blaming his fucking outfit. That was some baby thing, you know, he's making excuses, you know, for getting beat up by the Gypsy King. He'd have got beat up anyway, even if he didn't wear that outfit. But, you know, fighters who are like really bulky and heavy, it takes a lot of oxygen, you know, to use all those big muscles. So I think the same applies to that Francis Ngannou. He's not going 10 rounds with Dillian Whyte at all. He's not doing it, or 12 rounds. He's not doing it. So it's quite an interesting potential fight, but I think Dillian wins both of them. UFC. Yeah, Joe Rogan's leaving YouTube, innit? You know, and he's going over to Spotify. You know, at the end of the year or next year, he's moving over from YouTube to Spotify. Which is quite a good move, innit? Because, you know, YouTube, they're a bunch of pussies, man. YouTube are a bunch of fucking pussies, man. You know, they delete the channels, you know, of these conspiracy theorists. You know, like Alex Jones and David Icke. You know, these guys who are talking about really interesting topics. The coronavirus. Conspiracies around the 5G towers. You know, fucking... What else are they talking about? They say that the Queen is a lizard. You know, I don't know about that. So I think some of these conspiracy theory guys go a bit too far sometimes, but it's interesting, isn't it? But you know, YouTube, they shut down these kind of people. You know, we've got like alternative theories. They'll shut them down. And you know, Joe Rogan, he was talking about, you know, that pedo Jeffrey Epstein. You know, Barry Hearn's mate. Jeffrey Epstein, who's got that private island. Joe Rogan was talking about how that Jeffrey Epstein, he gets like underage girls transported to his island, you know, to fuck them. And Joe Rogan was talking about how Prince Andrew, you know, the Queen's son, how he's involved in it. You know, how him and that Jeffrey Epstein were little fake mates and they were having little orgies together, you know, with like young girls and transporting girls to the island and having a big orgy. That's what Joe Rogan was talking about. So he probably got his videos demonetized. You know, he probably got a warning, you know, from YouTube. They probably gave him a strike and like threatened to close him down. So he's going over to Spotify, you know, because YouTube are a bunch of sensitive little faggots. You know, they shut people down, don't they? David Icke. You know, people like that. You know, they shut me down, didn't they? And they closed my other channel. Why did they? Because I said Coogan's got bent legs. You know, a big fucking deal. So what if I did? What's so bad about that? What else have I said? Michelle Hall Phelps. So what? Did you see that video a few days ago, you know, of Michelle Hall Phelps and Coogan and Radio Raheem and that other guy? You know, they did a little shit Skype chat, didn't they? And they were talking and that, and Michelle Hall Phelps said, yeah, if the virus doesn't end soon and I don't make any money, I'm going to have to start making money by posing in my bikini. Do you know what I mean? She had to fucking say that, didn't she? She couldn't go a whole fucking video without whoring herself out, could she? Michelle Hall Phelps. She had to fucking whore herself out, didn't she, again? You know, trying to put it in our minds. Oh, I might have to start posing in a bikini. You know, trying to put it in our fucking minds. Trying to get us to think about her sexually. So, she's always fucking whoring herself out, isn't she? Michelle Hall Phelps. So she fucking deserves the name Michelle Hall Phelps. So, you know, YouTube acting like a bunch of faggots, you know, shutting me down because of that. You know, that's some baby thing, innit? That's some fucking baby thing. She had to like slip that in, didn't she? Slip it in. Yeah, she'd like that, wouldn't she? I wonder if she's fucked any boxers. You know, she was always hanging around the Galapad, wasn't she? You know, when Billy Joe Saunders was there. She was always hanging around there, wasn't she? I don't know if he fucked her or not, you know. I haven't got any inside information, but it's likely, innit? She was always hanging around the Galapad. Yeah, I don't know if Joshua's fucked her. You know, he wants to, don't he? You know, looking at her tits like that. He does want to fuck her, don't he, Joshua? She loves the attention, don't she? Michelle Hall Phelps. She fucking loves the attention. Yeah, Joshua's being racist again, isn't he? Black people are the superior race. He's getting slandered, you know, for his little speech at the Black Lives Matter protest. He's getting slandered, isn't he? Yeah, you know what? I don't even think it was that bad, to be honest with you. I think people are exaggerating. I don't really like Joshua, you know, after he threatened my life. But I think people are exaggerating, man. It wasn't even that bad. You know, what did he say? Invest in your own. You know, what's wrong with that? You know that Jew, Eli Sekbak? Well, you know, Jews, they've got a load of money out there. They've got a load of properties, a load of houses, a load of businesses. You know, because they kind of stick together and build up their fucking money and their properties, and they, you know, they all stick together, don't they? So, you know, unity, it's a good thing, innit? You know, the Jews, they fucking own like a big portion of the world, don't they? You know, Jews, they've got the right idea, you know, sticking together. That's what it's about, innit? Unity. You know, if your community's fucked, full of crime and poverty and violence, Tupac and Biggie, you know, look at what happened to those two. You know, there's nothing wrong with uniting, you know, coming together. There's nothing wrong with it at all, man. It's not fucking racist, is it? Imagine if those two got together. You know, imagine if those two united and made songs together. How fucking good would that be? You know what I mean? But they're both dead, aren't they? So there's nothing wrong with unity and trying to build yourselves up and sticking together. There's nothing wrong with it or racist about it at all, man. It's all about sticking together, like the Jews. You know, it's good to all stick together, isn't it? And instead of like going to Tesco's and spending your money in Tesco's, you know, just go to the local shopkeepers, you know, in your community who's like struggling, you know, to pay the bills. Go to the local shop, you know, and spend money in there instead of going to Tesco's. You know, Tesco's is a big corporation, you know, they've already got a shitload of money, aren't they? So to invest in your own community, in your own little shit shops and build up, you know, like the Jews, like that Jew, Eli Sekbak. You know, it's not a bad thing, is it? You know, helping those who are down. It's like, you know, Eddie Hearn. He will stay right until the end of a boxing event, you know, giving every single interview. You know, even little shit YouTubers who have got like 100 subscribers. Eddie Hearn will stay right until the end, you know, giving these little shit YouTubers who have only got 100 subscribers and who only get about 50 views. He'll stay till the end, you know, giving everyone an interview. He doesn't just get interviewed by the big names, you know, Coogan, with his fancy 600,000 subscribers. You know, Eddie Hearn, he's got time for the small people as well, hasn't he? You know, the small little shit YouTubers. So that's what it's about, innit? You know, trying to like help out those at the bottom. And it's like, you know, if you go to a boxing match, you should try and buy tickets from the boxers, because that will help them out. You know, instead of buying tickets at the venue itself, buy them off the boxers, because they get paid from it. You know, they might only be getting a few £100 for a fight. I remember when Dillian was talking, and he said that half an hour before his fight, he was outside the venue, you know, like trying to sell tickets so he could get paid a few £100 for his fight. You know, support the boxers, you know, at the bottom. You know, for every Mayweather and every Joshua and every fucking Canelo and every Pacquiao, you know, there's thousands and thousands of other boxers, you know, at the bottom, getting paid a few £100, struggling to sell tickets. Some boxers even lose money, you know, by not being able to sell enough tickets to pay their opponent. So they have to take money out of their own pocket, you know, to pay an opponent. So yeah, support the bottom, man. And the same applies in your community. You know, just go to the local shop instead of going to Tesco's. You know, obviously Tesco's is better, innit? You know, go there to get the main fucking bulk of your shopping. But you know, if you just need a bit of milk or bread, just go to the local shop. You know, even if it's a little bit more expensive, support your community. So that's what Joshua was saying on it in that speech. Support your own, man, your own community. Just common sense. It's not racist at all. You know, Ali, he said much worse back in the days. He said all white people are devils. So people look at him like a legend, you know, and call him a legend and that. So it's, you know, that was a lot worse, wasn't it? I don't think there was anything too bad about it at all. People are exaggerating, aren't they? You know, because they don't like him. They want to see him get fucked up by Tyson Fury, don't they? Who wins that fight then? It's got to be Tyson Fury, hasn't it? Yeah, Eddie Hearn saying that those two have agreed terms, you know, to fight each other. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think Eddie Hearn's just saying that, you know, to try and like take people's attentions away from Joshua's dodgy speech. You know, he's trying to like distract people, you know, and like give them something else to talk about. You know, trying to conveniently take people's minds off of Joshua's dodgy speech. You know, because loads of white people have started saying that they're going to boycott Joshua's fights, you know, after his dodgy speech. So Eddie Hearn is just fucking trying to conveniently come up with a fancy story. You know, trying to take people's minds away from Joshua's dodgy speech. They've agreed terms. That doesn't mean anything. They haven't signed the contract, have they? They've agreed terms. It means nothing. Like, you know, the Skype wanker, when he said that if Kell Brook wins a world title, he'll fight him. So then Kell beats Sean Porter, and then the Skype wanker still doesn't fight him. So, you know, when fighters agree terms and they agree to fight each other, it doesn't mean anything. I only get excited when they're on their way to the ring to fight each other. So all this fucking Eddie Hearn bullshit about they've agreed terms, you know, he's just trying to distract people, isn't he? And trying to take their minds off of Joshua's dodgy speech. But you never know, the fight might happen. Tyson Fury said it's happening as well, but Tyson Fury said McGregor said he's going to train him for a fight in the UFC, and then McGregor said he's never spoke to Tyson in his life. So, you know, it's hard to know who's telling the truth, innit? But hopefully it does happen. And, you know, if it does, Tyson schools Joshua, don't he? I think he schools him. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Well, yeah, thanks to you people for tuning in and subscribing and all that and buying my little shit merch and, you know, really getting behind it. Yeah, thanks for that. Be safe.